I have to say I'm very surprised. Hi buddy, it's Alex Tennis, and today I'm gonna review for you the Wilson Ultra 100. I was actually kind of surprised of how the V4 was playing. The Wilson Ultra is totally the opposite of the type of racket that I want to play with, but you know, let's see, because I was actually really disappointed by the new 100L, but you know, let's start fresh for this 100. What is new with this new Wilson Ultra 100? Not a lot, just small improvements, small tweaking. So basically they've increased a bit the swing weight because they wanted to lower a bit the RA. So the racket should not feel as stiff as it was, but it's a small difference. Let's say from 70 to 67, so not a huge gap. They changed a bit the mold over here, so it's a bit thinner, but like I said, just small tweaking, not something that will make the racket feel totally different. So then how this racket will feel, we'll find out in different ways. First, I'm gonna talk about the specs, and then I'm gonna rank this racket in 4 categories. We're gonna have control, power, spin, and feel, and at the end, I will be able to give an overall rating and decide for which type of player this racket is made for. So in terms of specs, it's pretty basic. Like I said, it remains unchanged for most of the specs. So this is a 100 square inch at size, 16 by 19 string pattern, and you have an unstrung weight of 300 gram. Like I said, the RA changed and the swing weight changed by a bit. This racket is strung with Wilson Revolve at 54 pounds. Now let's go with the rating. If you're looking to buy some tennis products online, then I have a great news for you. You can use the code ALEXTENNIS to have 10% off your next purchase on Tennis Zone. Thanks to them for making this video possible, and let's go back. In terms of control, obviously this is not a stands out for this racket, and that was to be expected, but I have to say that with the lower RA, and it's gonna be a big topic in this video, I feel like the racket is a bit more flexible, and so you don't feel that the ball is going in and then going out really quickly. Instead, you feel like you have a bit more time to feel the ball, and so you have a bit more time to control it. But obviously, it's not as control oriented as other racket. So I have to give the Wilson Ultra L V5 a good 6 out of 10 for control. In terms of power, obviously that's a stands out. Usually when you buy this racket is to have a lot of power, a bit of spin too, and power doesn't disappoint with this racket. I have to say by a bit that this racket is not as powerful as the V4, but like I said, by a bit, not too much, you know, just a bit, just because of the feel, like I said. But in general, I really enjoyed this racket because I feel from the get-go you have a good pace, but it's a great in-between because it's not like something that you feel like you need to compensate for the lack of control. No, it's just fun to play around with that type of power, so you just can play and the ball is going out pretty quick, and if you want to add power, then it's gonna be good because of the new flexibility and the way that the racket is built. So that was pretty fun. So for power, I'll have to go with 9.5 out of 10. For spin, I have to say that I'm always surprised when I'm looking at reviews of the Wilson Ultra and that I see reviewer talking about how this racket is good for spin, it's made for spin, and I'm like, okay, but then isn't it the shift made for the spin or what? You know, this one should be like flat hitter, like a Babolat Pure Drive. And so when I went on the court with this racket, I was just in my head thinking about that, and I realized that this racket is not a spin monster, that's for sure, but it's quite good. The overall spin that the ball has when you hit with this racket is great, but it's not the racket that when you have a lower ball you can just spin it and brush it and it's going really quick like let's say like a Babolat Aero, obviously. So yes, it's not that bad in terms of spin, I agree, but it's not the racket that will make your spin the most effective. It will be there, it will be good, but nothing that is incredible or stands out. So I have to go with 7.5 out of 10 for spin. In terms of feel, that's the part where I was the most surprised. Like I've said at the beginning of the video, the Ultra is totally the opposite of the racket that I like. For reference, I play with a Wilson Blade 98, I've played with Prestige Pros, I've played with the Volcol C10, but this one was actually really good, and I was really impressed by the feel. Like I said, I like the fact that this racket is now more flexible, feeling a bit more the ball. So I have to say that usually when I do a review, I go on the court with the racket, I have some fun, but when I'm playing like seriously with for the player that I coach, I usually don't play with the racket that I've tried because I want to play my best tennis. But I ended up playing a lot with this racket because I felt like it was really helping me, and actually we might go on a chase for a new racket if this racket still ends up being a racket that I like, because I might switch to this racket. It's actually really fun, but we're gonna keep it for another video because yeah, it will take me a lot of time to figure out if this racket could be a great fit for me or not. So in terms of feel, I have to go with 9 out of 10. So there you have my overall rating. Finally, I would recommend this racket to people who want to have access to free power, but that also want to have a racket that's going to help them to achieve a bit of spin. This racket is not obviously made for people who just want to feel the ball, because it's not a racket that will give you that. Obviously the feel is good, like I said, but it's not like a C10 from Volcol or Prestige from Head, or even a Pro Staff from Wilson. But it's a great racket in general to grind from the baseline. I didn't talk about this in my ranking part of the video, but I really enjoyed the way that this racket was playing at the net, because obviously it's maybe not the best racket in terms of, you know, drop shot and feel shot at the net, but when I wanted to close with a punch volley, it was actually great. At the serve, it was good. Same thing for second serve, really good. So in general, yes, it's a racket to grind from the baseline, but if you end up at the net, then it's gonna be good too. So I was actually really impressed. And I don't like when people are saying in the review that this racket is recommended for intermediate player, because actually some of the more advanced player could like it, but like I said, it's really niche in terms of advanced player. But in terms of intermediate player and beginner player, then probably everybody can enjoy this racket. Thanks to Tennis-Zone for letting me try this racket. Without them, it would not have been possible. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.